Welcome at Painting at School. Lesson 22 about assessment and portfolio. An approach, because this subject is still in development. You have to develop it with your own team, with the children and with the parents. So it's more for the future. The student can be participant of his own learning steps. The learning process, can make and describe their own goals they want to reach. And you share a lot of the results with each other. And there are the parents, there's the teacher, there are the students, and in the center there's the work. And in this case, the paintings, because these are about painting lesson. But it is an example. It could be geography or main lesson books or about history. It doesn't matter. It's just a way of working with the pupils and the parents together to look in a certain way to the results and how the pupils are involved with their work. They get more motivated because they know, okay, I will work on this aspect in my work. And it can start quite easy going from grade 1, and even in the kindergarten there's something to do with assessment and portfolio. I will show you. So it stimulates the motivation and sharing experiences, and it's very good for the observation. It can cause less fear for the pupil because he knows more about the steps and the way of assessment of the teacher, and he's learning it by itself and also from the parents. You know this situation. There's a child with a painting and coming close to the teacher, and he's showing the painting. And the teacher is looking at the painting, maybe seriously, maybe laughing. Pupil don't know. Does the teacher like this pupil? The pupil is thinking, does he like me? Where is he looking at? Maybe I painted too wet or too dry. Is it the exercise the teacher told about it? Are the colors not too weak? Is it strong enough? I have a lot of borders, and this part is more atmospheric. He's quite unsure what the teacher will tell about his painting, how he assesses this painting. So that's the way which can change, because we involve the pupil by looking at paintings. And as you know from grade 1, at the end of the lesson, the next day, you put everything on the wall and you have a conversation with the children and you look at all these themes of where can you find something too wet, too dry, very intensive colors, weak colors, strong borders, very nice mixed colors. Where's the yellow very radiating? Ooh, this red is really strong, yeah, and angry maybe. Or the blue, though the children are used to have in their conversation, they learn to see the many aspects of the painting. That's a start for assessment. And here you have in general a picture to look at where parents come to the school and look into the portfolio, and the portfolio is just the result of all the assessments. And they are very glad to show the parents. I will show you more examples of this. Let's look at first to these drawings. So the child is coming into the school. 4 years, 5 years in kindergarten. It's like a gate. Some schools have a lovely gate. The children at the beginning of the school year go through with the roses and so on. They go through the gate and they leave as 12-year or even 18-year. The other gate, they go out of the school. It's very interesting to describe with your team what is the development at that moment the child is going through this gate. What are the possibilities? What are the habits? And look at the end of all these school years. What do we expect of this student? What are his qualities, his skills? How does he in social work together? What was his own development? So try to describe the qualities the child, the student is leaving the school. And then you have all these years, all these grades, to realize, to make it reality, these goals, to reach them. So it's called the curriculum. And here you have in the school time space and time to development. And space and time is very, very important. That means there's not too much pressure, but really space and time to develop. And you pay attention to the student. And everything you give attention, it grows. But like in nature, it takes time. So of all these steps, you organize the attention, the organization of the attention in assessment. So you have in each important step, you want to look back with the children, with the students and the parents to this development. And you want to look forward. What is the next step? Go through this. By conversation, by give it a name, mention, how can you describe it? And you make a record of it. Record, number, or whatever you want to give it. What is the habit of your school? What is in general education or teaching? What it's about? There's a professor, Bista, and he wrote a book about the beautiful risk of education. That means we can't describe education for 100%. And he is saying, I like it. Because in reality, in the interaction with your students, it develops itself. So it is a beautiful risk of education. And he describes 3 areas. The first one, the personal and individual development of the child. Developing the talent, things which doesn't go, you have to help, and the child is making its own step by step. That's what happens. Another one is the whole part about qualification, which is today very important and sometimes a little bit too important. It's about the knowledge. You have to learn a lot of facts, insights, and the skills to master your skills. That's the qualification. And for the qualification, you do your examination at the end, in between. So we have the personal development and the qualification. Then there's a third, happily. It's about socialization. The children are not alone in the world. They are coming from a family, with neighbors, in an environment, at school, in a classroom, with friends, with co-students, and they live together. They work together. And you have to learn this. Socialization is how you manage to live in the world with the world around you, in the society, in the group, at school, how you fit in. How is this process? So we have the own development, then we have the social side, and we have the knowledge and the skills. And Bista, this professor, he said that's the main thing, the essence of education. That has to happen in the school. That means the timetable. How many time do you spend on qualification, socialization, and this own development? And we know the art lessons, like painting, it belongs quite a lot here, because you make steps in your development by art. You work together, you have to put all the things on the tables, you have a conversation about it. But, like the color theory of Goethe or Steiner, there's also knowledge about colors. So it's always a combination. And if these three circles coming close, you have a space here. And he says, there is where you are becoming an adult. And what's an adult? An adult is students gain insight into their calling, their mission, if we are enable them to deal with their freedom, to do that which only they can do. Because each student is unique, and each student has his own goals, his own mission, why he or she is here born at earth. Yeah? What is the goal? Where is he growing into? And everybody tries to realize this thing. And then you can say, if you have reached it, or you're on the way to it, you are becoming an adult. That's the main point. So I talked already about these three groups: the students, the parents, and the teacher. Or make it very small: the teacher and the student and his parents. People who take care of the child. And in the center, there's the work. They are talking about the work. Though they don't talk about the child. That's more a classic thing. Yeah? Parent, teacher, and the child there. Yeah? And they talk to each other. No, they're gathered in a kind of a circle, a triangle. And in the circle, it is the work. You talk about work. And if you develop assessment, ways of working with assessment, and the student is assess itself, we call it self-assessment. If they are a little bit older, 9 or 10 years old, they can work together, they can look at its work. Yeah? There's a presentation, and the children can assess this presentation of one of the children. It's on the same level as students. We call it peer assessment. And if the parent gets some questions from the students about their work, or the teacher, it is co-assessment. So we have 3 forms of assessment. And now I will show you how you can put easily a way of assessment with young children. I will connect with this triangle of teacher, student and parents by this picture. They have a discussion here. Here's the pupil, the parents and the teacher, and they look at the work. And if you can't describe the work, you can also make a picture of it. So it is a picture of his work and they are talking about it. It's the same situation as here. Showing work and they talk about it. So that is this triangle. So if in grade 2 we had a lot of painting lessons during the autumn, in the winter, and then we gathered the whole pile. And I asked the pupils to look after 3 paintings they liked very much. So the pupils were looking into their work, put them on the tables, and some pupils had it very easy. They took 3 of them out. Some of them they couldn't choose, or nothing was good enough. But at the end everybody had 3 paintings. And they looked at it. And of course I asked, why did you choose these 3? And all kinds of elements about the color, the form, the subject came out. And then I asked them, what can you mention about a painting? What do you see? Colors, yeah? Strong colors, intensive colors, weak colors. What about the mixing of colors? Some go from one yellow, orange into the red, atmospheric. Some have strong borders. Do you see a painting with strong borders? How does it look like if you have painted too wet or too dry? And do you prefer a certain color? Which color do you see many times at your paintings? So you discuss some elements from the paintings and you can write them down at the blackboard. And I make long list because the pupils, they mention a lot of parts of this painting. And then we choose 4, 5 subjects. Do we have weak or very intensive colors? Can you make strong borders? What about the way you mix the colors? What about the way you paint dry or wet? And because at this age it's not easy to write sentences in assessment, I made very easygoing symbols, very easygoing drawings. So in this kind of drawings about the borders or the mixing, here you see elements and they write down how they have done it. Though they start looking through their pile of paintings, and of course these 3 they have chosen, and they try to describe what they have seen, what is their observation. And of course you can also make some questions. You print it, like here. And you have some sentences, like, I think it's a beautiful one, I am the boss if I am painting. And here you say, yes. Sometimes, no, I'm not the boss, because I put paint on my painting and then it disappears or it mixes by themselves, or I don't know how to handle it. Yeah. So with easy small circles, in a yes, no, and sometimes, they can assess their own work. My paintings are very strong with colors. I manage to go in a good way with the materials, with the water, my brush, and so on. So you can have a lot of different questions they can answer. And these results you put in your portfolio. So then it's not necessary that a teacher writes down a report, but the student makes his own report. And here you see they are writing about the elements of the painting. And here you see a picture. This child is showing his mother from his portfolio this piece of paper to show how he was painting in the last period. And then interesting is if the child has done a self-assessment, or the child is 9 or 10 years, the neighbor can look at his work and do an assessment. Yeah, that's a peer assessment. Or you have a parents' evening, and in the afternoon you write down some questions with the student. What shall we ask your parent, your father or your mother? This evening they are coming into school and they look at your paintings. Though they answer the questions of the child too. And you put it all together in a portfolio. And then you can look forward and you ask the students to write down 1 or 2 points what they want to do better. And one child writes down, I want to take care that I don't paint too wet. Or I see my colors are always very weak. I try to take some more paint to make a little bit more intensive. Other one, I have difficulties to mix colors together. So I try to concentrate on that. And after 3-4 months, maybe twice a year, they are looking back at their paintings. Okay, I should take care not paint it too wet. And was it successful? So, assessment about their own goals. And there are also other questions if the student get older. So this is, for instance, not for the younger ones. Questions and yes, sometimes no. But it can also look in another way. And that's lying there. Thank you. It's about the 4 seasons, you know. I gave this demonstration in grade 6. Grade 6. Trees in the 4 seasons. And I made this for the children. And here you see open questions. And one of them can be, which tree did you find the most difficult one? What about the atmosphere in the classroom while we were painting? And Master Dick gave you enough information to do your work in the right way. And do you like painting? And why? You don't like painting. Why? What's going on there? So it's very nice if you are 11 or 12 years or 13 or even older to have and to make together these kind of questions, and you put this in a portfolio with all the other results. At the end, I want to look at this one. That's more an abstract one. Here we have the 3 circles: qualification, socialization, individual development. We can describe these goals on government level. Most governments, ministries of education have their levels. So about the qualification, you have to know this, you have to learn these skills. Or you can also describe it on school level. What do you think as school, which is important besides the government norms? And each child has his own level for qualification. So maybe the child is not reaching the government level, maybe some of the school level, but the way the child came into the school with not so many possibilities, what she or he is doing now is top. So there can be a good description here of the child, what the child has reached. The same for socialization. It's more the school who describes how pupils live and work together, and for the child itself. And in the individual unique development, it is the child's level only here. So you see a stair like that. I think this will be more and more empty, and this can be filled. So all the education situation, everybody is more aware of what you are doing. And it's very nice for children. And as you see the pictures I will show you now, how happy everybody is to show the portfolio twice a year to the parents. We had a period in February and the other one in June, just before the holidays, the summer holidays start. So it's an approach to this subject, and as teacher, also at an art school, you develop this by your team with the children, with the students. And it's very interesting to discover how many things pupils see in their own work, how they assess this. Mostly, often, very seriously. Sometimes too seriously. Because they want to do their best in it. So this is about assessment and portfolio, and I'll show you some more pictures.